As mixing and mastering engineer, there are so many mistakes that we make that we don't really pay much attention to, especially the up and coming ones. Whenever we are mixing our vocals, we just go ahead and throw our processors on our vocals and also add our effect to it. Sometimes we make mistakes that we don't pay much attention to. At the end of the day, the mix come out and we don't really like the way it sounds. So I have this video here from In The Mix channel with the title 11 years of mixing advice in 11 minutes. He shared so much knowledge in it, which I think there are certain mistakes that sound engineers make without even paying attention to. So I want us to learn one or two things from this video. There are so much knowledge that he shared in this video that I want us to learn one or two things from. But for copyright reason, I'm not going to react to the video. I have pictures from his video that I'm actually going to share the knowledge that he shared in the video with you guys. So without wasting my time, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, like, and also comment down there, and your time will never be wasted. So let's just get into the video. So the first thing he talked about is leave space for the vocals. And I think this mistake is coming from the production side. Whenever a producer is making the beat, or you as a producer, you are making the beat, because you tend to add so much instrument to it that occupies almost all the frequency space in the beat, that when you try to put or add the vocals to it, it sounds some kind of way. It becomes really hard for the vocals to fit into the beat for your own self. So sometimes you try to bring the vocals up and it moves outside the beat. If you try to bring it down to the beat, try to overshadow the vocals, which is something that we don't really pay much attention to as mixing and mastering engineers. So as mixing and mastering engineer, I will urge you to pay much attention to that, and also contact your producer and let them know that putting too much of instrument in it becomes really hard in mixing. So you have to pay much attention to it. But whichever way it is, make sure it works for you. So I think that's the first knowledge that he shared, and I like it. So let us move on to the next one. And the second thing he talked about is using more of dynamic EQ instead of the normal EQ. And the difference between the normal EQ and the dynamic EQ is that for the normal EQ, whenever you are cutting some part of the frequencies from the vocals, it affects it throughout the mix, right? But for the dynamic EQ, it does not affect it throughout the mix, because you are setting a certain threshold that this is the bar. If the frequencies bypass this bar, then meaning the EQ is supposed to work. If it does not reach this certain bar, the EQ is supposed to rest. It shouldn't work. You get it? So let's say if there are some harshness within your vocals at the highs there, and you are trying to cut it using the normal EQ. If you cut it, you have cut it. So when there is a certain part of the vocal that we don't have any harshness over there, that cut is actually going to affect that part where there is no harshness, and where there is harshness to that part that you cut using the normal EQ is also going to affect it. That's for the normal EQ. But for the dynamic EQ, if you set the threshold to a certain point where it is taking away the harshness of the vocals, and it reaches where there is no harshness in the vocals, it's not actually going to work there, because the threshold that you set is not actually going to affect where there is no harshness. You get it? So that's more of the dynamic EQ. So it works not only for the harsh vocals, but you can use it for the instrument and everything, and it's actually more powerful that way, rather than using the normal EQ, cutting certain frequency that will affect other part of the vocals without you even noticing that mistakes. You get it? But if you use the dynamic, it affects that kind of threshold settings you have done for the vocals over, which will not affect different parts or section of the vocals. Do you get it? Or the instrument or anything that you are using the dynamic EQ or the normal EQ on. You understand? So I think this one too is really powerful message that we need to take note of that whenever we are doing our mixing as mixing engineers. The next thing he talk about is buy once and cry once, which I think is a very good idea. Because let's say if I want a microphone which costs around, let's say, $1,000, and I don't have the money right now, it's better for me to save up to that amount of money and buy it today and cry, rather than waste so much money on different kind of microphones. Let's say I'll go and buy a microphone which costs $200, another one which costs $400, other one which costs $600. By the end of the day, by the time I get to the desired kind of microphone that I really want, I've spent more than the $1,000, which maybe if I had take my time and gather the money and buy it at once, it would have been better rather than just buying a whole lot of stuff which is not going to actually help me at the long run. You get it? Because sometimes we go and buy studio monitors which we think is cheap, and we just try to use it for mixing, and it doesn't give us the sound that we really want. We upgrade to the new one which is not our desired or preferred studio monitor that we really want, then we just do that. By the time we get to the one that we really want, we have spent so much money which isn't nice. So it's either you invest in what you really want at the right time, like just invest it right from the scratch, save up to that amount of money that is needed to buy that equipment for yourself. You buy it once, everything just go off, rather than just buy so many of them, then later on going to buy the preferred one that you want. So I think this knowledge too is actually nice and good. The next thing he talk about is layering is overrated, or layering is overrated. Sometimes as beat maker, sometimes whenever I'm making a beat, I'll just put in so much instrument with the same kind of melody, thinking that I'm going to make the sound really heavy and very rich, but at the end of the day, how I want it to sound becomes some kind of way for me. If I want the richness of the sound, it's better I select the right sound and a good sound for myself, rather than selecting different bad sounds and putting them together, making sure that you are just making the sound to be rich or heavy in a way. But if you take the right sound, even if it is one or two, yeah, the beat is actually going to sound nice and very rich and heavy for you. But if you don't do that and you take, let's say 2, 3, 4 bad kicks and it doesn't sound well, you are just trying to layer them for it to be heavy and punch well, at the end of the day you end up messing with your mix without even paying attention to that thing. So layering is really overrated. We are just overrating it, which sometimes it doesn't work and it doesn't help. So it's better you take or select the right sound for yourself, even if it is one or two. You select it and make sure you use it for the beat, rather than putting so much instrument together and making it feel like it's okay that way, which I think is not something that we really need to go ahead with. You understand? So don't be putting so much instrument in your beat, as in don't layer it too much. Sometimes just pick the right sound which sound good and heavy to your ears, yes, then move on with that, rather than picking, let's say guitar, you just stack 4 or 5 guitars with the same melody, which sometimes it doesn't help. So just move away from just trying to layer your sounds all the time. Yeah, pick the right sound and you are just good to go. Sometimes you listen to these professional sounds on radio and you get to understand that there isn't too much going on in the mix. Yeah, but up and coming sometimes do too much that they don't even pay attention to, that they are making certain mistakes. You get it? Yes, and I like this one too. So the last thing he talk about is fade your audio clips, which in my experience I think it's a good idea, because sometimes whenever, let's say vocals, you have some noises within your vocals, you just cut them off, you just leave them like that. It's better you try to fade the start and the end of it, so that you will not get some clicks whenever the audio plays. You get it? Those clicks add up and it makes the mix really muddy and it makes it sound bad. So make sure you fade your audio clips, and trust me, you're going to get a very good mix at the end of the day. So these are the things that he shared with this. There are certain things that I didn't really get into, because I think those ones are just basic. You can just go in, and I think those ones are just optional that you can actually go in and watch the video for your own self and learn 1 or 2 things. But if there is any video you've watched, you didn't really understand the mix, but you liked how the mix sound and you want us to explain it into details, make sure you comment down there so that I'll just watch the video and come and explain certain things to you. If you like my video, make sure you subscribe, thumbs up, like, comment, and also share for me.